Hello, this is Sudhir Kumar Dwivedi, Assistant Professor of Law from Gemtech School of Law, Greater Noida. The topic for today's lecture is principle of res gestae or concept of res gestae under the subject law of evidence. So let's see. First, what is the meaning of the res gestae? As we know, the term res is a Latin word which means thing, and the expression res gestae literally means the thing done. So, a subject matter or a transaction are essential circumstances surrounding the subject. So, as for the Latin mean, since it is a Latin word, and the whole meaning of this Latin word is that a thing has been done, or subject matter or transaction or essential circumstances surrounding the subject. However, in the law of evidence, it means things are done, including the words spoken, forming part of same transaction, or you can say there is a fact story. We know that there is a fact story behind every case before the court of law, and that is the fact story contains certain acts, omissions, or statements which are not an issue but are capable of showing some light or on nature of the transaction, revealing its true quality and character. And such acts, omissions, or statement form part of same transaction in the issue and are allowed to be proved. So we know that when any act take place, there must be some other correlated act or statement which must be surrounding to that particular act, and that may be in a explanatory nature, and and these are admitted uh, as a part of same transaction. Let's see what is the definition of the res gestae. As per Halsbury, actually it defines res gestae as facts which form part of res gestae and are consequently probable as facts relevant to issue. It includes acts, declaration, and incidents which themselves are constitute or accompany and explain the facts or transaction in issue. So definition also indicating the thing that which is forming the part of same transaction is generally considered as a res gestae. So let's see its development of the res gestae. The doctrine of res gestae can be traced back as far as from 1693, when in the case of Thompson versus Trevanian, the court admitted a declaration accompanying an act as evidence, giving the justification that it provide explanation regarding the commission of the act. That's why court accepted that accompanying statement which were explaining the main incident, although it was later discussed upon and used in a number of subsequent cases. However, its development begins from Epson versus Lord Kinnaird. The scope and applicability of the concept gained the attention of scholars and jurists after the famous case of R versus Weddingfield. In this case, Cockburn, Chief Justice, ruled that a res justice statement cannot be made after the transaction. Means once the transaction completed, the res justice statement will not be, means the statement after the completion of the main act will not be considered as a res justice. In this particular case, the accused had slit the throat of the deceased, who ran outside and told a witness to look at what the accused had done. The court ruled that since the statement was made after the throat had been slit, it cannot be said to be res justice statement. However, this decision was overruled in case of Ratan versus R, wherein it was stated that a rest statement may even be made immediately after the transaction. So, the scope of the doctrine of res gestae in common law was further widened by this decision. What was the earlier view? That if the incident has, uh, you can say, has become over, then after that, if any statement is made, that was not considered as a part of res gestae. But after this Ratan versus R case, that was held that such statement may be taken as a part of same transaction if they were made immediately after the transaction and having some light, having some connection with the main incident, then that statement may be considered as a part of same transaction. Let's see what is the scene in Indian law. In Indian law, we know that Chapter 2 of the Indian Evidence Act, which deals with the relevancy of the fact, and it begins with Section 5, which states that evidence may be given to prove the existence or non-existence of a fact in issue. That is, a fact which has been submitted to a judicial investigation or any other fact which has been declared relevant by the statute. As per Section 5, we have discussed this relevancy clause, that it just declared that what type of, for what evidence may be given. It just say that evidence may be given to only to prove the existence or non-existence of the fact in issue. Otherwise, no other statement is accepted, which is the statement which is going to prove or disprove the existence or non-existence of the fact in issue. That statement be given, and we know the relevancy clause, that the legal relevancy, we have discussed these things, that such must be fall within the domain of section 6 to 55. I'm not going to discuss that again. And following this, in section 6, which provides that even though a fact may not be an issue, but it's connected to such a fact so deeply that it forms part of same event or transaction. Section 6 declares that there may be some fact, those who are not an issue, but they are so deeply connected with the fact in issue or the main fact, that they form part of same transaction, and that's why these facts have been declared as a relevant fact under section 6, and such evidence of such statement may be given under to prove the existence or non-existence of fact in issue is allowed under section 5. And such fact may occur maybe at the same time or at same place or some different time and place, but there must be some close relation. We will see in later part of the lecture what is the test to identify whether the fact is forming part of same transaction or not. There is some test, we will see in the later part. Let's first see what section 6 exactly says. Section 6 says, whose marginal heading is that relevancy of facts forming part of same transaction. It declares that the fact will be relevant if it is forming part of same transaction, because it starts with the word relevancy of facts forming part of same transaction. So if you only see the marginal heading, it declares that if any fact is forming part of same transaction, that will be relevant. Now the question will arise, what is the part of same transaction? We will see it. Let's first see what is the section 6. It says that facts which, though not in issue, are so connected with the fact in issue as to form part of the same transaction are relevant whether they occurred at same time and place or at a different time and place. So it declares that the facts which are so connected with the fact in issue that it will form the form of same transaction are relevant. And it is quite possible that we discussed that it is quite possible that it is not necessary that they happen at the same time and place. It may be just before or after, but they are having some relation with the fact and issue, or forming there is some cause and effect relation with the main fact, with the main incident. That's why they are forming the part of the same transaction. Now, the acts and declaration accompanying the transaction are the fact in issue are treated as res gestae and admitted in evidence. And this act and declaration which is accompanying the main transaction is treated as a res gestae and admitted in evidence. But the fact deposed must part of the transaction and must be made at the time with, uh, within the time immediately after it, means having some close relation with the main incident. Otherwise that will not be considered as a part of same transaction. So let's first see, it is important to see what is the same transaction. A transaction, as we know, we can give a single name which is used in this section, is like defining it like a single by single name, like it is a crime, a contract, or wrong, or any other subject of inquiry which may be an issue. It includes both immediate cause and effect of an act or event, and also its collection of relevant circumstances, the other necessary antecedents of its occurrence connected with it at the reasonable distance of time, peace, and cause and effect. So we can see the transaction as generally used in a single word or term, like you can say it's crime, contract, or wrong thing which is an issue. And if there is some immediate cause and effect of that particular fact, issue, or event, that is explaining the circumstances, incident which is connected with the fact, so will be considered as a transaction. All these facts and all these facts which are so connected with the fact and issue and forming part of the same transaction, all these facts are relevant only they are connected by the proximity of time, unity or proximity of place, continuity of action, and community of purpose or design. So for this forming part of same transaction, there are certain requirements which must be fulfilled. Like it is, there must be a proximity of time, means there must not be a much gap between these facts. And proximity of place means the facts place are related. You can say is some there is a close relation with the place regarding, suppose some incident has taken place on a particular place, and the fact which is we are seeking to as a form of part of same transaction is so connected, so nearby, that it can be supposed that yeah, it is quite possible that the incident is having some effect on that place as well. And there must be continuity of action. And if there is a continuity, suppose someone has attacked some person by a knife, and the person is running from that particular place to another place, so there is a proximity of the place from the main incident place and where he is running that place, and there this is the continuity of the action as well. That's why these will form a part of same transaction. Though the main incident was that when the person was attacked at a particular place, that is the main incident, that is the fact in issue whether that person was attacked on that particular place or not. But since after the attack the person is running by saying something, so and so person has assaulted me, and he is reaching some place, then that place is having proximate relation with that particular place where the main incident taken place. That's why that place is forming part of same transaction. And the statement which is going to explain while he was running from this main place of this incident to another place, that statement will be form part of same transaction, because it is a continuing action, and it is explaining the main fact and issue, and or you can say it is related with the fact and issue, and it is, since it is forming part of same transaction, that's why these facts will be relevant, because they are forming part of same transaction. So we can summarize it like that. It will cover a statement made by either of the parties or by any standard during or shortly before or after the event. Suppose an incident is taken, someone is attacking on someone at a public place, and the person who has been attacked is crying that, see, so and so person is killing me or hitting me. And when this incident was taking place, few people assembled there and they started slaying. Oh, so what was how this man has killed the attacked on me? Means the statement of that public person who is appearing there, even just after the you can say incident. But since the statement is explaining, because he heard the voice of the main victim who was saying that he and so person was killing me or hitting me, he heard that voice. Now he is speaking the same thing. These all are forming part of the same transaction, and that's why they have been declared as relevant. During shortly or before that we have discussed, and it may be fact containing the effects of the committed by the accused, regardless of the fact that the might have not have caused all of them himself, and it may be facts which provide context to an event, though they may not constitute the event itself. Means some explanatory fact, and they are related with the main fact transaction, main fact in issue. They are forming part of same transaction. That's why all they have has been declared as relevant. Now see what is the test of the applicability. The foremost requirement for the applicability of the section is that the fact must be part of same transaction. We have discussed this, what is the same transaction, and the following requirement must be fulfilled in order to conclude that the facts are forming part of same transaction. Now this is the test, how you will check whether the act is forming part of same transaction or not. The first test is that they must be in close proximity of time, so much so that there remains no possibility of conclusion or fabrication. Means there must not be such much time gap between the main incident and the statement of the person who is giving some statement after the main incident, because there may be chance that the fabricated statement may be given by the person who is giving the explanation, or you speaking something regarding the main fact issue. So there must not be much time gap. And next test is they must have occurred at the same time, place, or a different place which are in close proximity to each other. I have discussed this with an example. Even if they may be at the same time or place, or even maybe some other proximate place, and must have some relation. Means it is not think that is a main incident place happened in Greater Noida and the person is giving a statement in Meerut, because there will be much time gap and the proximity of the place can't be presumed. Reason being, there may be much chance for giving the fabricated statement. So next test is continuity. We have discussed. So in nutshell, it can be summarized like that: there must be proximity of place, proximity of time, and continuity of the action. These are the tests whether the fact is forming the is form part of same transaction or not. If these three are fulfilled, then it is considered as a that they are forming part of same transaction. Let's see some illustration. Accused of the murder of B by beating him. A is accused of the murder of B. A के ऊपर charge है. A has been charged by the court that you have committed the murder of B. Whatever was done, said by A or B or the bystander at the beating or so shortly before or after it as to form part of same transaction is relevant. There is a charge against against A that he murdered Mr. B, and there is some statement which is need to be party want to prove before the court that what was said by A or B at the time of the incident, because those statement may be explanatory statement. The main fact issue, the main fact issue is whether A committed the murder of B or not. And if something was said by A or something was said by B at the time of the incident, then the statement may be explanatory in the nature, because it has a proximate relation with the time, place, continuity, everything is there. So it may be relevant fact. And whatever even it's said by the even by the whatever said by the bystander means the person who was just I gave the example that someone is beating someone is at the public place, and suppose some people assemble there. So whatever said by the bystander means the person who is assembling there, whatever said, these statement may be some giving some light or some explanation regarding the main fact and issue, whether A is committing the murder, or B, suppose one person is saying, oh see who Mr. A is hitting Mr. B. So these may be explanatory fact, and these facts may be relevant because they are forming part of the same transaction, and that's why they have been declared as a relevant fact. Let's see another example. Suppose in this illustration, suppose A is accused of waging war against the government of India by taking part in armed insurrection in which property is destroyed, troops are attacked, and goals are broken. The occurrence of these facts is relevant as forming part of general transaction, though A may not have been present at all of them. In this illustration, there was a Mr. A who has been charged that he was waging war against the government of India, and it has been proved before the court that there was some armed insurrection and in which different incidents taken place, like goals were broken, troops were attacked, property were destroyed. These were some incidents, and even if it has been established by the Mr. A that he was, even if it has been established by the prosecution side that Mr. A was present in one incident, then also it will be considered he was waging war against the government of India, because these incidents like attacking down troops and breaking the goal are some continuing action and they are forming part of same transaction. That's why it will be relevant fact that even Mr. A has been participated even in a single act, because all these are forming part of same transaction. So I have taken some other examples. Let's see example illustration D. The question is whether certain goods ordered from B were delivered to A or not. The goods were delivered to several immediate persons successively. Each delivery is relevant fact. Let's see some case laws regarding this. First of all, I have taken the example of Mahendra Pal versus State. This is a case of 1955, AIR 1955, Allahabad 328. What happened in this case that some murder has taken place at a public place, and apart from the deceased and the eyewitnesses, few people assembled after the main incident, and whatever said by the eyewitnesses to these peoples that there were two culprits who had been involved in this case, the statement of those persons were held to be admissible under section 6, though they were not present at the time of the main incident. But whatever the stated by the eyewitnesses just after the incident, it was considered as a admissible under section 6. The reason, the very simple reason why these facts are admitted, the very simple reason, when the person is in effect of any incident, there will be no chance to think regarding that, and whatever he will speak through. That's why this statement has been considered as a true statement, and that's why it has been considered, it has been admitted as a relevant fact. Like in the same way in Chandra Kala versus Ramakrishna AIR, Supreme Court 1268, it was held that when the complainant narrated the incident to the relative of the deceased and he deposed to that effect in court, such evidence is admissible in evidence. So these were few cases like some other cases are Punjab Rao and DP Mahesh Ram, Andhra Pradesh versus Panna Satyanarayan. These are some important cases. Like in Andhra Pradesh versus Panna Satyanarayan case, in this case was held that when the accused murdered his wife and daughter, the statement by the father of the deceased wife that father of the accused told him on telephone that his son was killed by the deceased, absence of a finding as to whatever information given by the accused father to the deceased father that the accused had killed the deceased was either at the time of the commission of the crime or immediately thereafter, so as to form the part of the same transaction, and the statement cannot be considered so as to form part of some same transaction. So this was not considered as a same transaction, and this was considered as a relevant fact under section 6. Suppose in this case, one Mr. killed Mr. Husband. There was a husband and he killed his wife and daughter, and his father uh, spoken all the things to the father of deceased just immediately after the incident, and the statement whatever were spoken by the accused father to the deceased father were considered as a, and the supposed and deceased father is appearing as a witness before the court, and he is telling that accused father has called me on that particular time and that particular day regarding, and he explained regarding the stated about regarding the commission of the crime by his son is considered as a form of part of same transaction and were admissible under section 6. These all about the concept of rest just stay. Thank you.